What did you make of it then? Long trailed. People thought there'd be lots of interesting stuff that Biden wanted to say. What did you make of what he did say?
I thought it was a magnificent speech. I thought he was uh, passionate in his explanation that he thought he had a record to run on, and which I agree completely. And most most effective progressive president in 50 years in the United States. Uh, he's and he and I believe he could have won, um, but it would have been a slog. It would have been a grinding it out. And I think he made the decision that by passing the torch, as he said, to Kamala Harris, he was in a position to hopefully engender the kind of enthusiasm that would result in a major sweep of victory, both in the House and Senate and the presidency for the Democrats, and allow his agenda to be completed. And so that's it was. I mean, he's just so much the opposite of Donald Trump. I mean, he's his personal ambitions are not as important as to him as the country and the issues he cares about. And Donald Trump is all about himself.
That's what he did say. It's very striking, though, Robert, to me. He didn't actually address head on what was going on here. Maybe that's because he can't. There is a dirty secret here. Maybe it's not a dirty secret. He's standing down because he's not capable of either pursuing this campaign properly or pursuing 4 years of a presidency. He wasn't very honest.
Well,
He didn't say
I,
that at any
I,
point, Robert. Did he? He didn't say. You know what? I have problems. I'm old. I'm too old. I've got infirmity. He didn't address that head on at all, did he?
no, I don't think so. And I'll be honest with you. I think he's a very effective still in office. He's not as effective as a debater. That was a terrible debate. And and he's certainly an older guy, no doubt about it. Donald Trump is an older guy too. and and so the notion of passing the torch to somebody more vigorous and who he believed in very heavily. And I got to say, Kamala Harris, one of the big fears those of us who backed his staying in the race had was that we'd have a real circus going on after if he withdrew. But it was executed brilliantly. Harris organized, got to work on the phone, 100 calls in 10 hours. She and her team rounded up the delegates. Within 48 hours, she had the majority of delegates to the Democratic Convention and support of the entire party and had basically the support of all of her potential opponents. So she consolidated support by working at it, organizing, and that was very impressive. And I got to say, the unity, the feeling of unity in the Democratic ranks is just it's exploded. People are very enthusiastic. My wife, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, has been shipping people to Michigan and Wisconsin to do door to door, knock on doors, and and she, there were 500 people, 400 people in the last 2 days signed up. It's just there's an explosion of energy. So I feel very confident that if we execute, we can win this election.
Do you think Biden handed over the power happily? I mean, he talked for more time about Benjamin Franklin than he did about Kamala in that address. He said more words about Benjamin Franklin than he did about Kamala Harris. Is this? I mean, there must have been you'll know this, Robert. There must have been behind the scenes. He wanted to cling on. Probably his wife and some of his advisors wanted to cling on. His children seemed to want him to cling on. There must have been some sort of battle royale behind the scenes. But is your point that if there was one, it's managed to remain behind the scenes and the transfer of power, at least in people's eyes, in front of people, has been pretty seamless?
That's right, and I think he, you know, he's the kind of guy who really does care about these things, not just his own ambitions. Personally, I know him. I mean, he's an extraordinarily decent human being, and I think at various points he decided that there was the damage that had been inflicted, partially by some of the people in the party and the media, was such that it would make it hard, though not impossible. But he wanted to make sure it was easier for somebody to win. And there was a lot of question: could Kamala actually rise to the occasion? And he bet on her, and he was right. She really rose to the occasion last week.
Biden's going to see Netanyahu today. What do you make
Yeah.
of the Kamala wasn't is not wasn't there when Netanyahu speaks to Congress. Um, how will she handle? How will the Democrats handle the issue? Because Netanyahu probably will still be prime minister of Israel in November. The war being prosecuted by Israel will be as unpopular as ever potentially in November. How big a problem is that for Kamala, do you think, as an election issue?
Oh, I think it continues to be a problem. Um, I think she is less associated with the whatever support the United States has provided for Netanyahu than Biden is. I mean, the president's been working strongly behind the scenes to try and settle this war and get it done and create a long-term solution, a two-state solution, and so forth. I know for a fact that I think he was disappointed that the congressional leadership got kind of cowed into inviting Netanyahu.
Really,
Uh, I personally think when he got off the plane, he should have been put in handcuffs and sent to the International Criminal Court. I mean, that's my personal view.
really.
Uh, my wife is a proud Jewish member of Congress. She did not go to the speech today, because she thinks, frankly, that what's necessary in the Middle East is a, a Palestinian recognition of Palestinian state, a clear path to respect for Palestinian rights, as well as into the kind of now who's much like Trump. He cares about his own future more than he cares about the country, and that's what's really a problem for.
And how much?
The hostages, by the way, I mean, Netanyahu doesn't care about these hostages. I mean, they need to do business and settle this, and that's exactly what I think Kamala Harris believes strongly. She's been one of the strongest advocates in the administration of getting a permanent ceasefire.
And if she makes that case and is as critical as Netanyahu, she won't be as critical as you've just been, but she might be more critical.
Right.
How does that play electorally? Because it's a really interesting. I mean, look, the main issue is not the American election; it's the people in the Middle East, and I take that point. But just when we're thinking about it purely politically, America historically a very pro-Israel country. Younger Democrats are historically pro-Palestinian, but she's got to be careful because if she goes too pro-Palestinian, there must be a caucus of pro-Israeli Democrats that she's got to be careful of here.
Well, yeah, but I got to say, this is a turnout election more than anything else. I mean, people have decided which side they're on by and large. There's a very small number of undecided voters. And we need to mobilize young people. We need to mobilize people of color. That's what she'll be really good at that. Young people are fired up. And as a result of Kamala, but also are very concerned about the Gaza situation. And so I think her voice is aimed at trying to settle this issue. I mean, my wife's view certainly is that to be pro-Israel, you have to be for a Palestinian state, because that's what the only stable solution is. Yeah. And I think that's Kamala's solution. I think that's what she'll say as we go forward. But as an electoral matter, this is about mobilization more than anything else. And I think on the mobilization side, being for peace is a more popular, mobilizing, energizing issue for the people who need to go out to vote than anything else.
That's so interesting, Robert. It's great to speak to you. It's a hell of an election you're going to have over there. We're fascinated by it. We're very grateful to you for talking to us about it.
Oh, eager to come back anytime. Great.